Hello friends, welcome to the Power BI DAX tutorial. In this tutorial we will see what is the measure or calculated column in Power BI DAX. In the previous tutorial we have seen like what is the Power BI DAX, and we have seen like how it is useful for the visualization and in the Power BI. Like if we create any visualization and like we import any data from the Excel or any other data source, then how the measure and calculated column is useful. Those things also we have seen in the previous tutorial, and we have get to know about the introduction of the DAX. So let's start in brief like what is the measure and calculated column in Power BI DAX. So basically the agenda of this tutorial, we are going to see more about the calculated and measure column in Power BI, because in the coming tutorial these two things is very useful with the Power BI DAX, or when we are going to work with the Power BI desktop application. So we have seen like in the Power BI or any business intelligence tool like Tabular, Power BI and others, there are we use the DAX programming language, and this DAX programming language, they are basically two type of the calculation we do, and generally these two are calculated column and measure column. So what all these two columns basically, so let's understand the difference between these two. So under this calculated column, like if we want to create any new column inside the like any data source where we want to create any column, then we use the calculated column. So what calculated column it do, like I'm going to add any new column, then it is visible into the sheet and it stored into the memory basically, and we can see that particular column which we created newly into the sheet, and it is very less analytical capability it contained, because if we want to create a column with the large number of the calculation or like large number of the like parameter, if we use like as a sum, average, and average and sum is very small, but if we want to create the calculation or the large level, then the calculated column doesn't work because it is stored into the memory, and like it is very like hectic to create that column because it take the memory and it give the performance issue as well. And in this example, like here you can see we have given like table name, and like table name is nothing but the data source which we are having, and the column name like whatever the column you want to take, and equal to what kind of the expression, DAX expression basically you want to create for the column. So suppose we have first name and the last name, but in that sheet we don't have the full name, and we want to create a new column called full name. Then what we can do, we have to give the table name first, and once we give the table name, here in this table name we can give the column name. Like this is, we have to decide what column name you want to give, so we can decide as a full name. And the expression here we can design like from the sheet we can take like the first name plus the like last name, and it will give the full name. We'll see that in a bit. So let's understand like what is the measure column. So measure column is basically a summarization column into the single value. Like suppose I want to take the sum of any column, or like I want to take some result like divide of the two columns, then those two column value we can summarize into one single column, and then that single column we can use in our visualization. So that is the advantage of the measure. And like when we create any column into the measure, then it doesn't create a column basically, and it stored temporarily. Like when we use that column, then only it store into the memory, or it take the memory, and every calculation like it under this measure column calculated at the runtime. But in the like in this calculated column, all the calculation is stored physically into the sheet, but in the measure column it calculate at the runtime whenever we need it. And it is a very rich analytical capability because we can do a big number of the calculation over that column, and we can utilize into our visualization. So for example, like here you can see we are calculating the gross margin and in this gross margin, you know, what we are doing, we are dividing the like what we are dividing, like we have taken the sum of the gross margin and sum of the sales amount, and what we are doing, we are dividing these two columns and we are taking the gross margin basically. So that is the advantage of the measure column basically. So now let's understand like how we create the DAX formula inside this Power BI calculation. So here we can see like what we are doing, we are generating an average profit, and how this average profit is coming, like average, this is the function basically, it is exist into the Power BI, and inside this we are passing the value, like what kind, like any what column value you are passing, based on that you want to calculate the average. So this is the financial is the sheet name and the profit is the column name, and whatever the average is coming, we are multiplying with the some value. So here what A is indicating, A is indicating like it is the name of the new measure average profit. So we are giving this name, we can give any name whatever it is showing. And here B is indicating like it is a equal sign, which is an operator indicating the start of the DAX formula and equating the two sides, like this is the name of the side and here is the calculation, so it is indicating same. And here the C, it is the DAX function used to average the value of a given field profit from a table called financial. The function used here is a get average. So basically here is the function name, C is the function name, which gives some result. Instead of this average, we can use the sum, we can use the divide, anything that function we can use, and that function basically accept the value, over that it do the particular operation. And the D is basically a parenthesis, it is used to enclose and define argument in an expression. Every function must have at least one argument, so these are the brackets. Here it at least one value it should have, or one column it should have, so it can do the C operation, whatever we have taken like average or the sum. And here E, it is the name of the table from which a field or a column is taken into the formula. So here we are indicating like E is basically a table name. In our case, we have the sheet name or the table name as a financial, and here like F, it is a name of the field from which the formula will use the values. For instance, like function average will apply itself on the value of the column or field profit of the table cell. So here we can see the particular column, whatever the operation we are doing, we define under this like this big brackets. And here like G is another operator used for multiplication, although the syntax element from A to F constitute the basic syntax of the DAX. So whatever the operation we want to do, we can use it. So this is the way of creating the DAX formula inside the Power BI. So let's understand like how many type of the DAX function is available. So we have many type of the DAX function which is available. So we have type like date and time function, time intelligence function, information function, logical function, mathematical and trigonometrical function, statistic function, text function, parent child function, table function, and other function. So under every function there are different type of the like functions available. Like under this logical function we have the average, some mathematical function also there. You can see all those type of the function which is available into the specific category. So I have given the link in the description section. You can follow that link to understand like what kind of the function available into the specific category. So that is the thing. And now let's understand like how we create the measure and the calculated column in our Power BI. So let's go to the Power BI desktop application. So this is the sheet which we have imported from this get data source, and we have used this into the previous tutorial also. And this is the data which we are looking here, and we can see there are so many columns. Now let's understand how we create the calculated and measure column. And we have seen like calculated column is basically stored temporarily into the sheet, and it is physically available into the data source basically. But if we create the measure column, it is calculated at the runtime whenever we need it. So for creating that column, either you can right click here and you can click like new measure and new column, or you can go into this, like let's click on this reports, and when you go into the report you can see the modeling, and from here like a new measure or new column you can click from here. So let's click on the new column. So once you click on the new column, here whatever the name you want to give, you can give. So what I'm going to take, month with number, any name you can give here, and into this right hand side you have to select. So I'm having month name and the month number, these two column I'm going to have. So I can use anything. So I'm going to, like when you will type month name, so here you can see like the month number, and if you want to use like with the n%, you can utilize like, so what you want to take. So I want to take in this and like what kind of the next you want to add it. So I'm going to take like month name. So this is the way of doing this one. So once I will click on this, like if I will click on this, so what it will do, it will create a month with name. We can see here there is a one column. Let's expand it. We can see month with number, it one column is created here. And if I will go into the sheet in the data source basically, and if I will scroll into the right side, we can see there is a one column is created here, and that column is indicating like the number and the respective month name. Now let's create the measure column. So right click on this and you can click the new measure. So once I click on this new measure, one window will come, and here you can write any name. So I'm going to write like average of profit. So once I click like after creating, like right click and new measure, you can give any name, and here I'm going to create the average. So here you type the function name whatever you want to use, and I want to use the profit column. So you can click, like you select the profit from here. So I have selected the profit column, and after selecting it will give the profit. But if you want to do some over operation on this, you can select that one, and once after the calculation is done, you can click on this. So once I click on this, yes, let's see, like it created column, and we can see we are not looking any column here, but here we can see there is a one column it created like average of profit, and here the symbol you can see it is showing as a calculated column, like calculator symbol. But for the month with the number, we are looking at different one. So this is the difference of the measure column. Like this measure column is temporarily available, in the sense like at the runtime it calculate the value. Here we have used a small number of the calculation. If we want to create a big number of the calculation, we can do here as per our requirement. And in the coming tutorial we will see a different type of the function available. We will work on those things. Now let's go on the visualization, and in this visualization if you want to create any data, you can create. Just let's click on this, and here if you want to click on this, so let's go on this, let's minimize this one, and here expand this, and here like I'm going to select month with the number, here month with number, and with this month with the number I'm going to use the value as a average of profit. So let's take values as a average of the profit, and based on that it will create the data for us. We can even expand the Y size, and like basically a font size we can increase from here, and we can see it is increasing. So all those things we have seen in the Power BI tutorial series, like how we use different type of the visualization into the Power BI, and we can see like the data as per we have created, and we can see the profit based on that, like it is showing the average profit. Now let's create another sheet, and what I'm going to take, I'm going to take this the donut chart, and based on that I'm going to see the average profit based on the like we can show it based on the country, so based on the country it will show in this way. So this is the way of basically creating a different type of the column, basically a measure column and calculated column. And in this way we can utilize the DAX calculation in our Power BI. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any question and doubt, please comment. Thank you.